Lucifer, Morning Star.
Lucifer Morningstar. Is that a stage name or something?
God-given, I'm afraid.
So if you weren't aware before, Lucifer is a DC property, which makes this wonderful show of a mischaracterized and villainized angel forced to rule over hell turned into an unlikely healer of damned souls, a comic book show. But before I talk more about that, good morning, afternoon, or evening wherever you are, my name is Aiden, and if you like comics, superheroes, and all the other related media, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe because that's all I talk about on here. Now, Lucifer isn't like most other comic book shows. It doesn't really follow a superhero, nor does it really have any superhero cameos. The closest thing it has to a connection to superheroes is during a crisis through the Arrowverse where John Constantine appears on Lucifer's Earth for one scene. But instead it follows a DC Vertigo property. Now, I don't know much about the Lucifer comics, but that's not for a lack of trying. In fact, I just ordered an omnibus that collects the Lucifer stories in order to better immerse myself in his comic book counterpart. But I have read that the show is pretty not comic accurate at some points, but that's something that I've talked about on here before. When it comes to comic accuracy, I could care less. I like good characterization and I enjoy good stories, but it's not the end of the world to me if a comic book story isn't adapted or is adapted incorrectly. As long as the media that I'm consuming tells a good story with great characters, I'll be entertained enough to enjoy it. Each season of Lucifer is a different part of his journey, from this torturer who was villainized and cast out of heaven for all eternity because he defied his father's wishes. It was an action made out of pain though, not malice. His father was ignoring the family that he created for another one of his creations. Jealousy and hurt consumed the Lightbringer, and he stood up against what he thought was a wrong action. His father was angry for the angels for defying him, as any father would be, but he cast him out of heaven. He sentenced him to rule over hell. Now, this action led to a millennia of storytelling and villainizing and blaming him for all of humanity's evils.
He shunned me. He vilified me. He made me a torturer. Can you even begin to fathom what it was like? Eons spent providing a place for dead mortals to punish themselves. I mean, why do they blame me for all their little failings, as if I'd spent my days sitting on their shoulder, forcing them to commit acts they'd otherwise find repulsive? Oh, the devil made me do it! I have never made any one of them do anything. Never!
What happened to you is unfair.
Unfair? This is unjust. For all eternity, my name will be invoked to represent all their depravity. That is the gift that my father gave me.
The sins dealt out by human beings' own free will. The blame, though not caused by him, still led to an immense amount of guilt and hatred for himself when he was first cast out of heaven. He felt like a monster, so when he looked into the mirror, the face reflected back at him was that of a monster. See, there was this idea of self-actualization introduced in Lucifer, where God gave the ability to all celestials, and even partially to humans to an extent, that whatever they think about themselves comes true. And when we finally learn this, so many pieces fall into place, which is why I want to mention it earlier into this video and not really talk about this one specific thing in the linear order that we find out about it. See, in season 1 and 2, Lucifer is the devil that the Bible pretty much paints him as. He's a torturer, a king of demons, except in this show he's painted in a much more sympathetic light than what the Bible says. He's not a pure evil creature. He's a victim of God who was used by him and cast out when he wasn't the perfect son. And when he finally comes to Earth on his vacation away from hell, he cuts his wings off in order to denounce himself from his father and all of his heavenly might. Because of his self-actualization and blame from humanity of all their sins, he hates himself. He is told that he's the reason bad things happen. And the longer you tell someone that they're the reason the world sucks, the more they'll start to believe it themselves. We uncover this in the best episodes of the series, which are the ones that follow Lucifer in his therapy sessions, because we find out how much is buried under this playboy narcissistic personality. But when we get towards season 3, Lucifer's in a good place. He's feeling a lot better about himself because of all the events that have transpired over the year or so leading up to this. So much so that he loses the ability to use his devil face, and his angel wings continuously grow back no matter how many times he tries to denounce himself from God and cuts off his wings. Lucifer's self-actualization and his better feelings about himself brought about a change in him. But at the end of the season, Lucifer's back to that torturer that he used to be, and that's when the woman he loves finally finds out the truth about him. Which leads us to season 4. As Lucifer tries to fix the relationship between him and her, he finds out how scared of him she actually is, and it just brings back all the self-hatred that he had before. You know, the hatred he just spent 3 seasons getting over, it's back and it's tenfold. His body starts to change without his control anymore. At least before he could activate it and control it when he wanted to use his devil face. But now he can't control it. And it's not just his face anymore becoming the devil. It's his entire body.
Doctor, this isn't progress. Because if I'm doing this to myself, then the real truth is...
Is what? Is what? Come on, Lucifer. This will weigh on you unless you face it head on. The real truth is what?
There is something rotten inside of me. I find it near impossible to drown out the constant cacophony of voices whispering in my ear, telling me I am evil. I'm drowning, Doctor. And I can't stop asking myself, why do I hate myself so much?
But despite this self-hatred, his relationships are able to bring him back to the man that he was, and he's able to at least control it when it's activated. However, because Lucifer's been away from hell for so long, it's been dormant. Without a ruler, the demons have become restless, and their goal is to bring back a celestial as their king. They go after Lucifer's nephew, and to protect the baby, Lucifer goes back to hell. After years of him not going back, the millennia of him being stuck ruling over, he sacrifices that chance of freedom, his chance at happiness, at love, a selfless action to save the world from an invasion of demons and to protect the people that he cared about most. Because of this selfless action, brought back his regular angel wings, and he was no longer that monster that he was picturing himself as. In my opinion, this is the point in the show where the story had come full circle. Lucifer unfortunately had to go back to his post as ruler of hell. Chloe went back to her life at the LAPD, and everyone else was finally able to live their lives with no threat to that peace. But the show got renewed for another season. In season 5, Lucifer meets a man that he met long ago. And he's even able to show him that there's a way out of hell, telling him that when he deals with this guilt that he has, he will be able to leave. Eventually, Lucifer leaves hell himself to get back to that life that was being thrown to shambles by Michael, his brother. Though Lucifer was dubbed the king of lies in the Bible, in this universe it's Michael who uses lies and fears to manipulate people, sometimes even God himself. When God arrives into the show, he announces to Lucifer and Amenadiel that he's going to retire because he thinks his powers are all out of whack. This is when we find out that God himself self-actualizes too. When God retires, he talks to Lucifer, even telling him for the first time in all of existence that he loves him and he's proud of him.
Lucifer, at our family dinner, you were right. I could have been a better father to you.
Now you forgo your mysterious ways. Just as you're leaving.
No need for them anymore, now that I'm retiring. Which means I can say something I've wanted to for a long time. I love you, son. And I am very proud of the man you've become.
But there is one other thing that God said in this season that's fairly important, and that is, hell no longer needs a warden. Lucifer, of course, doesn't think much of this for the rest of the show until about season 6. I mean, God's retiring, and who's the most qualified person to lead them? Wouldn't it be the person who just spent millennia ruling over their own kingdom? He even proves this more so when he travels to heaven, and in a selfless act sacrifices immortality for the one he loves. But by season 6, he has doubts. He no longer thinks that becoming God is his calling, and he spends the season trying to figure out what his actual calling is, or how he can become worthy of being God. He learns to care about the people that he doesn't love, or even like for that matter. One of them is Jimmy Barnes, a man who killed a woman who he was very close to. And honestly, Jimmy's the whole reason that Lucifer worked with the LAPD to begin with. But Lucifer sees his hell loop, and he pities Jimmy. He even helps him find comfort in the loop. And this is where the puzzle starts to click for him. Hell no longer needs a warden. With the help of their daughter, Chloe and Lucifer are able to realize what his purpose is and what his calling is. It's to be a healer. And here, Lucifer makes the most selfless decision of his life. He gives up this life on Earth, his chance to make a family, to watch his daughter grow up, to help others, to be a hero, to be a healer. In the traditional sense, Lucifer is not a comic book show. It doesn't follow a very comic-accurate story, as far as I've heard. And its main character isn't some superhero who saves the day and gets the girl. It's full of struggle, tons of characters, most of which struggle with everyday problems, have everyday jobs, and everyday lives. Lucifer is a subtle and underrated adaptation of a comic book series that should be more widely recognized. It took these known characters from the Bible and some of their own original characters, and it made this story that paints a figure who has been portrayed as pure evil or even the root of all evil before and turns him into a sympathetic figure who even almost becomes God himself. Even after he denies God over and over again, he is still to be seen worthy enough by every other angel. And when the time comes, he realizes that it was never his place to become God. It was to be better than God. By helping those who were trapped by their own guilt, by freeing hell of its damned souls. Now, Lucifer wasn't like the comics, but it was something special. Definitely check out both the comics and the show if you haven't already, and if you're interested in those.
I thought you could use a partner.
But with that being said, I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you enjoy seeing me talk about superheroes and comics like Lucifer, or if you just like this format of video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. You can check out my other socials on the screen now, as well as my other videos. Have a great day, and okay, bye now.